Now I'd like you to imagine just for a minute that the rental on your business premises was reduced by 40, 50 or even 60% within the next 2 weeks. Just consider for a second the impact that that could have on you and your business. Now it was recently stated that over 90% of businesses pay far too much rent, and that's simply because, well, property prices have dropped, but in the main rentals haven't. Now this becomes a far more pressing and urgent matter if the business is struggling and they have high rent and possibly even rent arrears. But when tenants have tried to negotiate the rent down, well, generally speaking, they haven't got very far. And that's where Arto come in. You see, Arto are independent rent review and negotiation specialists, and they take no upfront fee, and their fee is actually based on a percentage of the amount that they save you.
What happened was the Chamber of Commerce in Hamilton, he actually gave me John's card and says to speak to him and try and see if he could negotiate any deal for us.
Unless he can negotiate some form of reduction for the client, there's no cost involved in that.
Within 3 weeks I had a rent reduction of 30%.
Now, one of the key problems of negotiating business property rent is that it can be, well, very difficult to get hold of the decision-making landlord in the first place, because so many of the properties are managed by agents and surveyors, and trying to negotiate through them is generally quite fruitless, because more often than not there's a conflict of interest, which most tenants don't actually realise. And even if you can get to speak to the right person, it takes an awful lot of experience to know exactly how far a landlord will be prepared to negotiate on monthly rental and rental arrears. Now, Arto always endeavours to only deal with the ultimate decision maker themselves and negotiate face to face, because that way they get the best results. And they've saved high profile as well as smaller businesses millions of pounds in rental payments. And they've also saved a huge number of businesses from going under. And what so many business people really like is that, well, as soon as the rent is reduced, then the rates can also be reduced.
I got an email from them every quarter saying they were reviewing it. They had meetings, board meetings to discuss it, but it went absolutely nowhere.
Your first obvious port of call was, well, who's the person we speak to in terms of looking at, is this rental reasonable, etc. And that on many occasions would have been a surveyor of some type, a chartered surveyor. But it was only when I met John that I realised that in fact in many occasions they have a conflict of interest.
Now, because of the way that Arto get paid with no upfront fee, and only as a percentage of the results that they get, it makes absolute and total sense for any business person, whether your business is thriving or struggling, to make one simple phone call and find out how Arto could make a very quick and very significant difference to not just your lease agreement and rental costs, but to your business rates as well. So give them a call now and find out how much you could be saving.
So I had to do nothing until I basically got an email from John saying that they've agreed a rent reduction.